Maya Chen woke up to the softest sheets she had ever felt in her life, and the kind of headache that made her regret every decision she had ever made since birth. The room smelled like lavender and money, and something wasn't right. Her legs were tangled in silk. Her mouth tasted like champagne and danger.
Her phone was nowhere in sight.
Her bra was on a lamp. Slowly, painfully, she opened one eye and immediately wished she hadn't. The sunlight was brutal, pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked a skyline far too clean to be anywhere near her apartment in Brooklyn. This wasn't her place. This wasn't any place she recognized. She turned her head, slowly, dreading what she might see, and there it was. The second shock. A woman. Sleeping. Naked. And not just any woman. A stunning woman. Her back was turned, dark hair spilled across the pillow, smooth skin half covered by the same sheet that barely clung to Maya's body. Maya sat up too fast.
Shit.
Her head throbbed. Her heart pounded. Panic bloomed in her chest. She didn't do one-night stands. She didn't sleep with strangers. She didn't even drink that much, except, apparently, last night. She scrambled off the bed, stumbling a little, looking for her phone, her clothes, her memory. The room was pristine and expensive. High-end furniture, soft carpet, a minibar stocked with labels she'd only seen on Instagram. The suite screamed VIP. That's when she saw the TV remote on the nightstand. Grateful for a distraction, anything to drown out the shame curling inside her. Maya grabbed it and hit power. The screen flickered to life. A news anchor appeared, overly bright, speaking with the enthusiasm only morning people and psychopaths seem to possess. And in just 2 weeks, President-elect Alexandra Sterling will make history as the youngest woman ever elected to the office. Her transition team has released no official statement since last night's private fundraiser, though several sources confirm. Maya stopped breathing. She turned toward the bed slowly, like she was in a horror movie. Hey, if you're enjoying this story, go ahead and drop a like to help us grow even more. And let me know in the comments, on a scale from 0 to 10, what score would you give this story so far? Your feedback makes all the difference. The woman began to stir. A soft groan, a stretch, a sleepy, raspy voice. Is that the news? Maya stared. The woman turned to face her. And suddenly, the pounding in her head had nothing to do with alcohol. Maya knew that face. Everyone did. It was on magazine covers, billboards, debate stages. It was the face of the future leader of the free world. The woman Maya had apparently slept with last night was President-elect Alexandra Sterling. Oh my God, Maya whispered. Alexandra blinked at her, clearly still half asleep. Maya's voice cracked. You're the president. Alexandra frowned, then winced. Not yet. Her voice was husky, dry. Technically, not for 2 more weeks. Maya stumbled backward, almost tripping over a Louis Vuitton duffel bag she didn't own. What the hell happened last night? Alexandra sat up, wincing. I was hoping you could tell me. I don't remember anything. Neither do I. This can't be real, Maya said, half laughing. I must still be drunk. Or in a coma. Maybe I hit my head. I assure you, Alexandra said, rubbing her temple, this is very real. Unfortunately, there was a long pause. Both women looked at each other. And then, at the exact same time, they said, shit. It was chaos after that. Maya tried to locate her pants. Alexandra cursed under her breath as she dug through a purse the size of a carry-on. There were no staff visible, no aides, no security, no press, but Maya was certain that someone would walk in any minute and ruin her life. Why were you even out last night? She asked as she hopped on one leg trying to put on her jeans. Don't you have a country to run? Not until the 20th, Alexandra snapped. And I get 1 night. 1 night off script. Well, congratulations, Maya muttered. You went completely off script. I don't even know your name. Maya froze. It's Maya. Maya Chen. Alexandra looked at her. Really looked at her. Maya could see the shift, the recognition trying to catch up. Wait, she said. You're a journalist. Maya's stomach dropped. No. No.
Not like that.
I'm freelance. I do human interest pieces and profiles on indie filmmakers and restaurants with B ratings. I swear, I'm not here for a scoop. You sure about that? Alexandra said, voice cool now. Dangerous. Because from where I'm standing, this looks a lot like a scandal waiting to happen. You think I planned this? Maya snapped. I don't even know how I paid for my half of the Uber yesterday. Alexandra opened her mouth to respond, but then her phone buzzed. She picked it up. Her expression went rigid. My security detail is in the lobby. Oh God. They can't find you here. Or me like this. Then what do we do? Alexandra glanced toward the window. There's a service stairwell at the end of the hall. If you can get out without being seen, I'll handle the rest. Maya hesitated. And if I can't? Alexandra looked at her, something unreadable in her eyes. Then this story becomes a problem for both of us. Maya's throat tightened. Got it. She grabbed her coat, her shoes, her dignity, what little of it remained, and paused at the door. For what it's worth, she said, you were amazing. Probably. Alexandra smirked. Likewise. Then Maya slipped out, heart pounding, praying she could get back to her anonymous life before the world figured out what had happened. Neither of them knew yet that this wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning. Maya didn't breathe until the elevator doors closed behind her and began their slow descent. Her heart was still hammering, her brain fogged with adrenaline and disbelief. Her coat was inside out. Her boots were untied. Her bra was still somewhere back in the presidential suite, likely hanging from a doorknob or wedged between 100 thread count sheets. She leaned against the cool mirrored wall and stared at herself. Her hair looked like it had survived a wind tunnel. Her eyes were wide, frantic. Her lipstick was smeared in a way that felt personal.
God.
What the hell had she done? When the elevator reached the ground floor, Maya slipped through the service corridor, keeping her head down. One glance behind her. No Secret Service agents. No cameras. Just a bellhop yawning near a side exit. She mumbled something that vaguely resembled early flight and bolted into the street. The cold air hit her like a slap. Reality came with it. She had slept with the President-elect of the United States. And escaped. Like a criminal. Or a secret lover. Or something much, much worse. She didn't know which version terrified her more. Maya didn't go home. Not immediately. Instead, she found the nearest diner open at 6:43 a.m., ordered black coffee and toast, and sat in a corner booth like someone in witness protection. Her phone had 12 missed calls from Zoe, 3 new assignments in her inbox, and a single text from an unknown number. Let me know when you get home safe. A. She stared at it for a long time. A. As in Alexandra. As in the future leader of the free world, who had just texted her like a nervous one-night stand. Maya didn't reply. What could she even say? Hey, thanks for the sex and national security crisis? She deleted the message. Or tried to. Her finger hovered over the screen, then backed away. She turned her phone off and shoved it into her coat pocket. This never happened. She would move on. Laugh about it someday. Maybe. Hopefully. But she couldn't stop thinking about the way Alexandra had looked at her, half sleepy, half curious, and entirely too honest. Or the smirk when Maya said probably. That smirk had burned itself into her memory like a branding iron. Meanwhile, in a completely different world, 10 floors up and 2 universes away, Alexandra Sterling stared at the empty bed, the faint imprint of Maya's body still visible on the sheets, and wondered what the hell she had just done. Her assistant, Mariah, was texting nonstop. The transition team needed final approval on her cabinet picks. The communications director was panicking about her lack of public appearances. The inauguration was in 13 days. And she was sitting on a hotel bed with her hair still damp from the shower, staring at the lipstick stain on her pillowcase. She had slept with a woman whose name she only remembered after a 30-second Google search. Maya Chen. Freelance journalist. Mostly harmless. Cute as hell. Smart. Her writing was sharp, even when she wasn't trying to be provocative. Alexandra had read a piece she wrote about a community garden in Queens 3 months ago and remembered thinking, this girl sees things differently. And now she'd seen Alexandra differently. Very differently. Up close. Intimately. With her guard down. No suits. No speeches. No podiums. Just breath and skin and hands gripping too tight and mouths hungry for something they hadn't named. Alexandra let her head fall back against the headboard. Fuck. The next week passed in a blur of cameras and press releases and constitutional briefings. Alexandra was back in Washington. Back in blazers and careful language and orchestrated photo ops. She gave speeches. She signed papers. She posed with children in small-town diners and smiled like she wasn't suffocating inside her own skin. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw Maya. Maya in her oversized sweater. Maya half-dressed, half-terrified, standing in the golden light of a hotel morning. Maya looking at her like she wasn't a symbol, wasn't a headline, just a woman who had made a wild, human mistake. And maybe not a mistake at all. Maya tried to move on. She pitched stories. She met deadlines. She went out with Zoe and pretended to care about karaoke. But her brain was stuck on a loop. Not the sex. Not exactly. But the softness. The tension. The strange, quiet way she'd felt seen. No one had ever looked at her like that before. Like she mattered. Like she wasn't just a blur in someone else's background. One night, almost 2 weeks after the disaster that shall not be named, Maya got home to find an envelope slid under her door. No return address. No stamp. Just her name. Inside, a White House inauguration invitation. VIP. +1. Handwritten at the bottom. Hope you still like chaos. Maya sat on her floor, holding the invite like it might combust. This was impossible. Insane. Reckless. And yet, the only thought running through her mind was, does she still think about me? Her phone buzzed. This time, a new number. The message was simple. If you're coming, wear something dangerous. Maya didn't hesitate. She typed one word and hit send. Always. Maya had never owned anything dangerous. Her closet was full of functional basics, black jeans, button-ups for freelance gigs, hoodies that had survived multiple heartbreaks. But standing in front of her mirror 2 hours before the presidential inauguration, she barely recognized the woman staring back. The deep crimson dress clung to her curves like temptation-made fabric. The neckline dipped just enough to whisper scandal, and her lipstick was the exact color of recklessness. Zoe had helped her pick the outfit. If you're gonna crash a historic moment in the president's life, might as well do it dressed like a power outage. Maya had rolled her eyes at the time. But now, her hands trembled slightly as she smoothed the fabric over her hips. She wasn't just going to the inauguration. She was going to see her again. The woman who had kissed her like she was oxygen. The woman who was now about to become the most powerful figure in the world. The woman who had left an invitation on her floor, like she hadn't spent the last 2 weeks pretending Maya didn't exist. She arrived early, VIPs always did. The crowd was massive. Dignitaries, diplomats, senators, celebrities, all buzzing with anticipation and camera flashes. Maya's name had clearly been placed on a list. Security ushered her through with professional politeness. No one questioned her. No one recognized her. And yet, as she took her assigned seat, front row, close enough to see the dais, Maya felt like everyone could hear her heartbeat. The music began. The announcement echoed through the National Mall. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the President-elect of the United States, Alexandra Sterling. And there she was. Alexandra appeared in a sleek navy suit, her hair pulled back in a style that said composed but lethal. Her steps were confident, measured. Every camera turned. Every pair of eyes followed her. But Alexandra was looking for only one. And when she found Maya in the crowd, she blinked. Just once. Just enough. Then her lips parted in a breath Maya could feel across the distance. For a moment, it was just them. After the oath was sworn, the applause thundered. The president was official. History had been made. But Alexandra's gaze still found Maya again and again, between press handshakes and staged smiles. Like she couldn't help herself. The reception was private, invitation only. Marble walls, gold accents, champagne towers, and the best string quartet in DC. Maya felt like a fraud walking through the grand ballroom, clutching a flute of champagne she hadn't touched. She didn't belong there. And yet, "You came," said a low, velvet voice behind her. Maya turned. Alexandra stood there, a safe distance away, but closer than she should be. Her gaze swept over Maya from head to toe.
Slowly.
Deliberately. "I got your note," Maya said. "Which one?" "The one that said, 'Wear something dangerous.'" Alexandra's eyes glinted. "You understood the assignment." Maya tilted her head, mouth curving. "I'm surprised you had time to think about me between saving democracy and posing for Vogue. I thought about you every day." Silence pulsed between them. Then Maya said, "We shouldn't be talking like this." "I know. Someone could see." "I know. Then why are you?" "Because I didn't want a day to happen without seeing you." Maya exhaled, shaky. "You're the president now." Alexandra's voice softened. "And I'm still the woman who can't stop thinking about how you kissed me and ran." "I didn't run. You vanished. You told me to. I told you to survive." "Same thing," Maya muttered. Alexandra stepped closer. It didn't feel casual. That night. It didn't feel like a mistake. Maya swallowed.
"No."
It didn't. Alexandra hesitated. "Then, come with me." "Where?" "Somewhere, without cameras." They slipped through a side hallway, ducked past staff, and found a service elevator. When the doors shut behind them, everything dropped away. Maya turned. "If someone finds us, they won't." "You sure?" "No." And then Alexandra kissed her. It wasn't soft. It wasn't tentative. It was fire and memory, and 2 weeks of pent-up frustration crashing between them like a storm. Maya kissed back with everything she hadn't said. Her hands in Alexandra's hair, Alexandra's arms anchoring her like a promise. The elevator stopped. Alexandra pulled away, panting. "My private office is down the hall." Maya smirked. "Are you propositioning me, Madam President?" Alexandra's eyes were dark. "I'm saying I've waited long enough." They didn't make it to the office. Somewhere between stolen breaths and slammed doors, they found a room with a couch and a lock. And the second time they came together, it wasn't chaos, it was confirmation. Afterward, Maya lay tangled in Alexandra's arms, heart thudding. "We can't keep doing this." "I know. You're the president. I know. This could destroy everything." "Then let it," Alexandra whispered. "Because what I felt with you wasn't something I can ignore. Not anymore." Maya turned her face into Alexandra's neck. "I don't want to be a secret. Then be something more." "I'm scared." "So am I." They lay in silence. Until Alexandra said, quietly, "Stay tonight. Just tonight. I'm not asking for forever. Just for one more stolen breath." Maya hesitated, then nodded. "Because what do you do with a night you can't forget and can't repeat? You live it, even if the world's about to find out." Maya woke up to the faint hum of distant traffic and the unmistakable softness of a couch too expensive to be in any normal office. Her legs were tangled in a throw blanket that probably cost more than her rent. The air smelled like sandalwood and politics. Beside her, sprawled and barely dressed beneath the same blanket, lay Alexandra Sterling, the President of the United States. Not President-elect. Not future anything. President. Fully sworn in. Fully real. And Maya had just spent the night wrapped around her like a bad idea that tasted too good to resist. She sat up slowly, careful not to wake her. Her entire body ached, in a good way, in a how is this my life way. Memories from the night before pulsed through her like electricity. The tension. The release. The way Alexandra had looked at her after, like she was trying to memorize Maya's entire face. Maya rubbed her eyes. She needed to leave. She needed to leave right now. This wasn't her world. She didn't belong in it, and the longer she stayed, the more impossible it would be to untangle herself. She stood, found her dress from the night before crumpled over the arm of the couch, and carefully slipped it back on. Her heels were by the door. Her bag, mercifully, still zipped. As she turned the handle, a voice behind her stopped her cold. "You're really gonna run again?" Maya turned slowly. Alexandra was sitting up now, the blanket draped across her chest, hair mussed, face bare, but her eyes, sharp, steady, were fully awake. "I'm not running," Maya said softly. "I'm leaving before I become a problem you can't spin away." "You think I regret last night? I think you can't afford not to." Alexandra stood, wrapping herself in the blanket like armor. "Do you want the truth?" "Always. I haven't stopped thinking about you since that night. Not one day. You've haunted me, Maya. And it scares the hell out of me, because I don't do this. I don't feel this." "Then why keep pulling me back in?" "Because it wasn't supposed to be real. And now it is." Maya's breath caught. "Alexandra, I'm not asking you to be my girlfriend. I'm not asking for some fairy tale. I'm asking if you feel it too."
Maya looked at her for a long time,
Then whispered, "Yes. And that's exactly why I need to go." She turned the handle again. Alexandra didn't stop her this time. But just before Maya slipped into the hallway, the president said, "1 night is dangerous. 2 means trouble. But 3 means we're doomed." Maya didn't respond. She couldn't. 3 hours later, she was back in Brooklyn, eating leftover pad thai from a takeout box, and trying to convince herself her phone wasn't going to ring. It didn't. Not for 2 days. Then it did. Unknown number. 1 word. Lunch? She stared at it for 10 full minutes. Then no names. No cameras. Just lunch. Maya texted back, "Fine. But I'm picking the place this time." Alexandra replied, "As long as it's not in a bunker." They met at a small cafe in Arlington, hidden between a bookstore and a laundromat. It was the kind of place that made decent coffee and looked aggressively boring.
Perfect.
Alexandra arrived in dark jeans and a hoodie, hair pulled into a messy bun, sunglasses covering half her face. Maya was already seated, sipping tea, pretending not to care. Alexandra pulled off the glasses and sat down. "You came," she said. "You texted," Maya answered. "You picked this place? It's got good pie." "I've had better pie." "Then you've never had my pie," Maya quipped, then instantly regretted the phrasing. Alexandra choked on a laugh.
"Well."
That escalated quickly. Maya rolled her eyes, trying to hide the smile. "Look, we can't keep doing this." "I know. So what do we do?" Alexandra looked down at the table. "I don't know. I'm a leader of a global superpower, and I don't know how to date someone without destroying them." "I'm not asking you to date me," Maya said carefully. "I'm asking you to choose. Because I can't keep being your secret. Not forever." Alexandra exhaled slowly. "It wouldn't be forever. Just until things settle. Until I get control of the narrative." "That could take years, Alexandra. Or weeks. Or never." Alexandra met her gaze. "Are you saying goodbye?" "I'm saying," Maya said, "that I don't want to fall for someone who's going to keep me hidden like a liability." "You're not a liability." "Then prove it." They sat in silence. The pie arrived. Neither touched it. Finally, Alexandra said, "I'll call you tomorrow." "Why?" "Because I'm not ready to lose you yet. Then figure out how to keep me." Maya stood. "And don't call until you do." She left the cafe, without looking back. Alexandra didn't move, just stared at the untouched pie, trying to decide which part of her life she was about to ruin next. Maya didn't expect the call. Not really. She told herself she was fine, that she was moving on. She dove headfirst into work, accepted a string of uninspired freelance assignments, even flirted half-heartedly with a photographer at an industry party. But none of it stuck. Nothing felt like anything. Because while her inbox filled with deadlines, her chest stayed hollow, and every time her phone buzzed, she still hoped it was her. And one night it was. The screen lit up with a number Maya had saved under a name she hadn't dared say out loud. "Alexandra, if I'm ever that stupid again." "Hey," came the voice low, warm, cautious. "I thought I wasn't supposed to call until I figured out how to keep you," Maya said, hating how easily her voice cracked. "I think I have," Alexandra replied. I need you to come to DC. That's not how it works." "Please." That word. From her. Maya should have said no. But she didn't. Because every time Alexandra asked, some part of her always answered. She arrived at the White House 2 days later. The staff was discreet, the car unmarked, the entry through a back gate. Maya hated every second of it. Alexandra met her in the West Wing. No suit. No cameras. Just soft eyes and a tension Maya could feel across the room.
"Thank you for coming," she said.
"You don't get to thank me yet," Maya replied. "Tell me why I'm here." Alexandra led her to a small room, intimate, secure, empty except for a leather couch and 2 glasses of wine. "We're safe here," she said. "No one's listening." "You sure about that?" "I'd bet my presidency on it." Maya didn't sit. "So, what is this? Another secret?" "No," Alexandra said, standing still. "It's the start of telling the truth." She walked slowly toward Maya, stopping just close enough. "Do you know what the first lie I told the country was?" "That you were straight?" Maya said, arching an eyebrow. Alexandra almost smiled.
"No."
"That I believed in compromise more than conviction. That I would do anything to keep the peace. That nothing would come before duty. And now I'm starting to realize that if I have to deny who I am just to lead, then maybe I'm not leading at all. I'm surviving. And what does that have to do with me?" Maya asked, barely above a whisper. Alexandra reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. "It's a draft of a statement. If I release this, it becomes official." Maya took the paper. Her eyes scanned it. It wasn't just a statement. It was a coming out, an acknowledgement, a risk. And her name, her real name, wasn't in it. But the message was clear. I am the woman who loves another woman. And I'm not ashamed of that. Maya's throat tightened. "This could ruin you." "It could free me," Alexandra said. "And what about me?" Maya asked. "What happens when they come looking for the woman behind the statement?" Alexandra stepped forward. "Then I hope you'll let me stand beside you when they do." Maya felt the full weight of it, not just the risk,
The choice.
After everything, after lies, distance, silence, and fear, Alexandra was choosing her. And it scared the hell out of her. "I don't want to be a footnote in your legacy," Maya said. "You're not. You're the part I'll fight hardest to keep." "You're not just coming out," Maya said, blinking fast. "You're declaring war on the machine that put you here." "Then I'll go to war for you," Alexandra said. Maya finally let herself sit. Her legs felt numb. This doesn't end with applause, you know. This ends with blood in the water. Then let them bleed. Alexandra knelt in front of her. "Just don't walk away again. Promise me something first. Anything. When the world comes for me, you won't flinch." Alexandra reached for her hand. "Maya-chun, you are the bravest damn thing that's ever happened to me. And I swear, on my name, on my office, on us, I will not flinch." Maya closed her eyes. She didn't say yes. But she didn't leave. And that was the beginning. 2 days later, Maya woke up next to her again. This time, it wasn't in a hotel or an office couch. It was in Alexandra's private residence, the morning light spilling across a bed that had only ever held one. Now it held both of them. She lay still, listening to Alexandra breathe. She felt the weight of what they were about to face. She also felt something else. Ready. For the first time, she wasn't trying to run. She wasn't hiding. She wasn't wondering if it was all going to break. She just was. She reached for Alexandra's hand under the covers and whispered, "When you release the statement, I want to be there." Alexandra turned toward her, eyes half-lidded. "You will be." Maya smiled. "Then let's burn it all down." The official White House press briefing was scheduled for 9 a.m. Eastern Time. By 8:42, every major news outlet had a camera pointed at the briefing room. The air buzzed with speculation, the kind that had teeth and adrenaline. Most assumed it would be a last-minute cabinet change, maybe a new foreign policy initiative. None of them expected what was coming. Not really. Maya sat in a private room, shielded from the chaos, but able to hear the rising murmur through the walls. Her palms were sweating. Her knee bounced uncontrollably. She wore a navy dress, conservative enough for Washington, but still fitted enough to feel like herself. Zoe had helped her pick it over FaceTime. "You're not walking in there looking like a martyr," she had said. "You're walking in like a woman who belongs." The door opened. Alexandra entered, flanked by two aides who immediately stepped out again once the door was closed. She looked composed, presidential, but her eyes searched Maya's face like she needed to memorize it before everything changed. "You sure about this?" Maya asked, voice barely audible. "I'm sure about you. You realize once this starts, we can't undo it. That's the point." Alexandra stepped forward, brushing a loose curl behind Maya's ear. Her hand lingered on Maya's cheek, grounding them both. "You're not a weakness," she whispered. "You're the reason I remember who I am." Maya leaned into her touch, her heart thudding like it wanted to burst free from her ribs. "Then let's go change the world." The press secretary took the podium first, issuing the usual greeting, laying groundwork with practiced poise. Then she said the words that detonated the room. "President Sterling will now deliver a personal statement. She will not take questions at this time."
Gasps.
Camera shutters. A surge of whispers. Alexandra stepped up, calm as a thunderstorm. "I've always believed that the truth is a burden worth carrying, especially when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's personal." She paused, let the silence breathe. "There are things I've never shared publicly. Not because I was ashamed, but because I was afraid. I've spent years making decisions from a place of caution. But today, I'm making one from a place of courage." Maya could see the screens, the headlines already being typed, the faces of reporters frozen in disbelief. "I am the first woman elected to this office. I do not take that lightly. But I will not lead this country while hiding parts of myself. I am a woman who loves another woman. That is not a liability. That is not a scandal. That is my truth." The room was stunned. Absolute stillness. Alexandra continued, voice unwavering. "She is brilliant, independent, stubborn, infuriating, and brave. And I'm lucky to love her. That is all I have to say about it. Thank you." She stepped away and walked directly through the double doors leading to the hall where Maya stood frozen, trembling. Alexandra didn't pause. She walked straight to her, ignoring aides, ignoring flashing phones, and took Maya's hand. The second their fingers laced together, everything changed. That afternoon, the world lost its mind. The internet exploded. Social media turned into a battlefield. Headlines ranged from Sterling's shocking confession to love in the White House. Some anchors cried.
Some raged.
Some tried to spin it into strategy. But no one could deny it. It was real. Alexandra Sterling, the President of the United States, had come out in front of the entire world. And she had chosen to do it standing beside Maya Chen. They didn't hide. They didn't issue a follow-up. They simply lived it. That night, safe behind secure doors, they lay on the couch in the residence, sharing a bottle of wine and watching the country unravel around them. "I think I just detonated the entire government," Alexandra said, barefoot, hair undone. "You did it with incredible cheekbones," Maya replied. "Do you regret it?" Maya looked at her. "Do you?" "No, then I don't either." There was a beat of quiet, the weight of everything pressing down, but also the freedom of having nothing left to hide. "Some people are calling it brave," Maya said. "Some are calling for impeachment. Some are shipping us on Twitter." Alexandra laughed, loud and unguarded. "God help us." Maya leaned in, resting her head on Alexandra's shoulder. "You know it's not over, right? The media storm, the think pieces, the attacks, the obsession. I know. And you still want me here?" Alexandra turned to face her, her expression suddenly serious. "I didn't come out to the world just to watch you walk away." "I wasn't planning on it," Maya whispered.
They kissed. Slow. Deep.
Like the world outside could burn if it wanted to. because inside, they had found something worth the fire. Not a scandal, a revolution. The backlash was instant. There were protests outside the Capitol within hours, with handmade signs that screamed everything from morality matters to America first, not lust. On the other side of the street, a rainbow flag twice the size of a tour bus waved defiantly, a sea of supporters chanting love is presidential. Political commentators on both sides of the aisle lost their minds.
Some called it a distraction.
Others called it brave. Others still called it treason. And in the middle of it all was Maya Chin, curled up on a chaise lounge in the East Wing residence, watching her name crawl across every news ticker in the country. Unidentified woman confirmed as romantic partner of President Sterling. Mystery girlfriend sparks global frenzy. First lady? Or first mistake? She wanted to scream. Or run. Or crawl into Alexandra's lap and stay there forever. But instead, she sipped cold coffee and stared at the screen like it might swallow her whole. Alexandra entered without knocking. She didn't have to. Maya felt her presence before the door even opened. She turned to look, but her expression didn't soften. "It's worse than I thought," Maya said. "It's going to get worse before it gets better," Alexandra replied, voice calm, but her eyes tired. She crossed the room and sat beside Maya, close enough for their legs to touch. Maya didn't move away, but she didn't lean in either. "They're calling me things," Maya muttered. "Dangerous. Manipulative. A ploy. I know. And you. They're threatening hearings. Whispers about invoking the 25th Amendment. Jesus Christ. Don't worry. I'm not going anywhere." "Maybe I should," Maya said, standing abruptly. "If I disappear, the noise dies down. You keep your job. The country moves on." Alexandra was up in an instant, blocking her path.
No.
"No, don't you dare martyr yourself for my convenience."
This isn't about you, Maya snapped.
"It's about the thousands of people tearing my life apart right now because I fell for someone I had no business falling for." Alexandra flinched. "You think you didn't have the right to fall for me? I think I didn't have the right to stay." "You do have the right. Then why does it feel like everything around me is collapsing?" Alexandra stepped closer, softer now. "Because the world doesn't know how to hold something this rare without trying to crush it." Maya blinked fast, the pressure behind her eyes burning. "I'm scared, Lex." It was the first time she'd said it out loud. Alexandra reached out and cupped her face, thumbs gently brushing away the tears before they could fall. "So am I." Maya melted into her touch. "We're not safe. We're not secrets either. Feels like we are. Feels like we're living between closed doors and careful whispers. And I don't know how long I can survive in here." "Then let's open the doors." Maya looked at her. "You mean?" "Let's give them the truth in full color." Alexandra's eyes were lit with something dangerous. Determination.
Fire. Love.
"I want to walk into the next White House dinner with you on my arm. I want you sitting front row when I address the nation. I want people to look at you and know you are not a phase or a strategy. You are my partner. That'll break the press. Then let's shatter them." Maya stared at her. The idea was impossible, irresponsible, reckless. And suddenly, the only thing she wanted. "You're insane. I'm in love." Maya felt the words crash into her chest like a wave. "Say it again." "I'm in love with you, Maya Chin." "You've never said that before." "I was waiting for the right moment. And now the world's on fire. And I want to burn beside you." Maya lunged forward and kissed her. Hard, desperate, full of fear and desire and the absolute chaos of being loved out loud. Alexandra pulled her closer, gripping her like an anchor in the middle of a storm. When they pulled apart, breathless, Maya whispered, "If we do this, it's forever. No more hiding. No more pretending." "Forever," Alexandra said. "But only if you choose it." Maya nodded slowly. "Then I choose it." That night, the White House issued an official photo, the president standing in the rose garden, hand in hand with Maya, smiling like the world hadn't tried to tear them apart. No statement. No caption. Just one image. The internet ignited again. But this time, it didn't feel like drowning. It felt like rising. Because love didn't whisper anymore. It roared. 3 days after the photo was released, the first death threat arrived. It came handwritten, no return address, no fingerprint trace. Just a simple envelope slipped into the daily White House correspondence pile like it was any other piece of mail. Alexandra never flinched. Maya did. By the end of the week, they'd received 26 more. Some came in DMs, masked as harmless comments. Others were more direct. Emails. Anonymous voicemails. One letter simply read, "You ruined America. Sleep with one eye open." The Secret Service doubled security. Maya was assigned her own detail. Agent Parker, tall, silent, deadly calm. Maya didn't like it. She didn't like the feeling of being escorted into her own life, of being watched every time she reached for a coffee or took a breath that might be misinterpreted. "I'm not the president," she snapped one morning as Parker followed her into the East Wing kitchen. "Why are you all acting like I'm a nuclear weapon?" Parker didn't blink. "Because, ma'am, you're the only thing in this building that can break her." Maya froze. "She'd go to war over you," he added. "And they know that." Alexandra hadn't slept in 2 nights. Her inbox was flooded with urgent alerts, coded language from party leaders asking if she'd consider strategic adjustments to her personal circumstances. Senators were turning cold. A major donor pulled out. 2 cabinet members submitted quiet resignations. She knew what they wanted. Apology, distance, damage control. They weren't going to get it. But she also knew something else. The moment Maya became the most public part of her life, she also became the most vulnerable. Alexandra was reading a classified briefing when Mariah, her assistant, entered without knocking. Her face was pale. "We have a problem." Alexandra didn't even look up. "Which one?" "Your father's giving an interview. He's going off script." That made Alexandra look up. "Define off script." "He's claiming your relationship is a political stunt, that you're unstable, that your administration is in moral free fall." Alexandra set down the folder slowly. "Is he sober?" Mariah hesitated. "I see," Alexandra said quietly. Maya was reading the transcript of the interview when Alexandra found her. "I told them not to show you that. I needed to see it. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know us." "He knows how to twist a knife in public," Maya said, standing. "And now the country thinks you came out for attention, that I'm some crisis PR maneuver. They'll forget by next week." "No, they won't. Not when half the Senate is trying to vote on whether you're fit to serve." Alexandra, step closer. "Do you want to leave? Do you want me to?" "Never." "Then what are we doing, Lex?" Alexandra reached out. Her voice cracked for the first time in days. "We're surviving." "No," Maya whispered. "We're fighting." Their eyes locked. And something shifted. Maya no longer looked afraid. She looked furious. "You're not the only one who can face a camera," she said. The next day, Maya stood at the press podium. Alone. It wasn't a planned appearance. No script. No speech. Just a journalist-turned-symbol deciding to reclaim her own name. She looked at the sea of cameras and said, "I'm not a politician. I'm not a campaign. I'm not a headline. I'm a woman who fell in love with another woman, and if that love threatens the fabric of this country, maybe it wasn't stitched that well to begin with." The room went silent. "I won't apologize for being here. And I won't disappear because it makes people uncomfortable. President Sterling didn't choose me to make a point.
She chose me because she saw me.
And I see her too. Clearly. That was all." She walked off the stage. Straight into Alexandra's arms behind the curtain. "You didn't have to do that," Alexandra whispered.
"Yes, I did," Maya said.
"Because they're not just coming for you anymore. They're coming for us. And now we stop surviving." Maya looked her straight in the eyes. "We start winning." Later that night, as the country reeled from Maya's impromptu press statement, Alexandra received an encrypted call from her chief of staff.
"There's talk," he said.
3 state governors want to initiate hearings about abuse of power. They say your relationship has compromised national stability. Alexandra was quiet for a long time. Then, Let them try. Ma'am, if they think loving someone openly is abuse of power, she said, then they've forgotten what power was supposed to be for. After she hung up, she turned to Maya, who sat curled on the couch with Agent Parker in the hallway like a shadow. They're coming harder now, Alexandra said. Maya met her gaze. So are we. They didn't hold hands. They didn't kiss. They just sat there. Two women in the eye of a storm, more united than ever. Because love didn't just make them brave. It made them a threat. There were no quiet days anymore. Every moment felt like strategy. Every gesture, every blink, every step across polished White House floors calculated for optics or survival. Maya could barely keep track of which news outlets were still spinning the narrative and which had turned it into a crusade. Late-night hosts made jokes. Comment sections turned to battlegrounds. But the worst came in the form of polished men in tailored suits sitting around mahogany tables, whispering about preserving the dignity of the office while trying to gut it from the inside. The formal hearings began 3 days after Maya's press appearance. Framed as an inquiry into executive misconduct, they were televised, dissected, and weaponized. Maya wasn't mentioned by name, but everyone knew what this was about. Power. Image. Fear. Alexandra wore a steel gray suit and a gaze that could shatter mountains. Her voice, when she took the oath before the committee, didn't shake. Maya watched it all from a secure room in the West Wing, surrounded by a wall of monitors and a silent Agent Parker at her side. She'd never seen Alexandra like that. Fire disguised as ice. Do you believe your personal relationship has interfered with your ability to serve this nation? One senator asked. No, Alexandra said. Do you acknowledge that your decision to go public was a deliberate political statement? I acknowledge that being honest is only considered political when you're not a straight man. Do you think the American people want this kind of distraction from their president? Alexandra leaned forward. I think the American people want a leader who tells the truth, not one who hides it in shame. I think they want someone who believes love isn't a threat to national security. Gasps. Cameras clicking like machine guns. Maya exhaled slowly, hand clenching her phone. Her face was everywhere now. Opinion pieces titled "The Girlfriend Who Changed Washington" flooded the media. One anchor called her a modern-day Helen of Troy. Another said she'd cost the administration its credibility. But none of them could touch what she and Alexandra had built in the shadows, piece by piece. That night, Alexandra returned late, looking like the war had followed her home. Her shoulders were tense, her jaw locked, but her eyes, those only softened when they landed on Maya. They're turning everything into a circus, she muttered, collapsing onto the edge of the bed. They want to break us, Maya said, kneeling in front of her. Because we didn't break first. Alexandra laughed, hollow. They're trying to impeach me for being in love. Let them try. They're going after your history, digging into your exes, your college records, your old articles. I know. One of them quoted a poem I wrote when I was 19. Was it bad? Mortifying. Maya crawled into her lap, straddling her thighs, resting her forehead against Alexandra's. Let them dig. There's nothing they can find that'll change this. Alexandra wrapped her arms around her, pulling her tight. They want a reason to make this a mistake. To make you a mistake. Then give them nothing but proof that I was your best decision. The next morning, Maya made a call. Not to the press. Not to her agent. To her mother. May, she said softly. Vicer mes coisas obrimem. Talvez mes du que você esperava. Her mother paused, then said, Você é feliz com ela? Sim. Então você já fez o que eu sempre quis para você. Maya wiped a tear from her cheek. Obrigada. Neo esse esconde mais, filha. Neo dixa els te apagaram. Nunca mais. The committee voted to delay the decision on the hearings. Not because they believed Alexandra, but because her approval ratings had inexplicably risen, particularly among young voters, queer voters, and women of color. America wasn't collapsing. It was changing, and it terrified the people who built it to stay still. That night, Alexandra appeared on national television for a live one-on-one interview. Maya stood backstage, out of frame, but within reach. Why risk so much for one relationship? The journalist asked. Alexandra didn't blink. Because it's not just one relationship. It's the first time I've ever been fully myself. If I lose everything because of that, at least I didn't lose her. Maya's chest swelled. She hadn't asked for this. Hadn't wanted to become a symbol or a headline. But now, watching the most powerful woman in the world declare war on silence just to keep her, she knew some things were worth the fire. When Alexandra left the stage, she didn't wait for cameras to cut. She walked straight to Maya and pulled her into a kiss that wasn't gentle. It was bold,
Public.
irrevocable, and the world watched.
Let them.
The kiss scene across America dominated the news cycle for 72 hours. Social media turned into a battleground of declarations, memes, threats, and confessions. One late-night host called it the kiss that launched 1,000 op-eds. Another simply said, well, guess we're all gay now. But while the public roared, something more dangerous stirred beneath the surface. Quieter, colder, and far more intimate. Betrayal. It started with a leak. A blurry photo of Maya leaving a secure area of the West Wing at midnight, accompanied by the words, "How much access is too much access?" Within hours, rumors of Maya reading classified documents began to spread. The headlines weren't about love anymore. They were about treason. Alexandra's advisors scrambled. PR firms rotated emergency shifts, and Maya, for the first time since stepping into this political firestorm, began to break. "They think I'm your spy," she said, throwing a tablet onto the bed where Alexandra sat reading. "They're calling me a security threat. I write poetry and drink too much coffee. I don't even know how to open a PDF with a watermark." Alexandra stared at the screen, jaw tight. This didn't come from outside. This came from someone in here. What? She stood, furious now. That photo, that angle, that corridor. There are only 6 people with access to that section of the building at that hour. For our security. One is you. The other is... Maya went still. Mariah. Alexandra closed her eyes. She's been distant lately.
Cold.
I thought she was just overwhelmed. She used to like me. She still does. That's the problem. It hit Maya like a punch to the gut. Are you saying she was loyal to the version of me that didn't need anyone? They confronted her that night. Mariah stood in the corner of the residents' study, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "You leaked it," Alexandra said. "I did."
Why?
Mariah's voice was clipped. "Because you used to listen to me. And now all I see is you making decisions with your heart instead of your brain." "I am the president," Alexandra said. "You don't get to decide how I love. You asked me to protect your legacy. I changed what legacy means." Mariah's voice cracked. "She's not worth the empire you built." Maya stepped forward. "I never asked her to give anything up for me. But she did." Mariah spat. "And now she's on fire, and you're standing there with a match." Alexandra's voice dropped to a dangerous calm. "You're dismissed." "Lex, I said you're dismissed." Mariah hesitated, then walked out. The silence after was heavy. Maya stood by the window, arms folded. "She's not wrong." "Yes, she is," Alexandra said, approaching her from behind. "She just thinks love is weakness. I know it's the reason I still get out of bed in the morning." Maya turned to face her. "I don't want to be the reason they burn you down. Then be the reason I survive it." That night, they didn't touch. They didn't kiss. They lay side by side, breath sinking, backs almost touching, hearts pressed into the silence. By morning, Alexandra had issued a public statement confirming Maya's complete lack of involvement in any government affairs and announcing the resignation of Mariah as a regrettable, necessary shift in leadership trust. The media howled. Conspiracy theories multiplied. Protesters camped outside the White House. But something else happened too. A poll emerged, one no one expected. Young voters, women, queer communities, marginalized groups. For the first time in modern political history, a sitting president's approval rating among under 30 voters had skyrocketed. They didn't want perfection. They wanted someone who bled like them. Someone who chose love, even when it cost. That night, Maya stood in front of the mirror, hair down, no makeup, an old hoodie hanging off one shoulder. Alexandra came up behind her, met her gaze in the reflection. "You look like the woman who terrifies Washington," Alexandra whispered. Maya smiled faintly. "You look like the woman who makes it worth it." They didn't say, "I love you." They didn't need to, because they were still standing. And that was more powerful than anything a traitor could leak. The White House never truly slept, but in the days following Mariah's dismissal, the tension in its walls turned sharp, almost electric. Maya could feel it humming through the floorboards, whispering through phone lines, pulsing in the glances of staffers who used to nod and now looked away. The administration was bleeding. And while Alexandra's public ratings were soaring among younger voters, the institutional machine beneath her feet was growing increasingly restless. The whispers became meetings. The meetings became memos. And the memos became something far more dangerous, an ultimatum. The document arrived sealed, delivered by a member of the Joint Committee on Presidential Conduct. It was 2 pages long, typed in cold, clinical language, and signed by 7 high-ranking officials. It didn't accuse Alexandra of criminal wrongdoing. It didn't mention Maya by name. But its meaning was clear. The continued presence of her romantic affiliation had become a threat to national cohesion, and they would no longer support her unless she addressed the optics decisively and responsibly. Alexandra read the letter twice, then folded it, slid it into her desk, and stared out the window without speaking for several minutes. Maya entered the room without knocking. "I saw their cars. What did they want?" Alexandra didn't look at her. "A sacrifice." Maya's heart sank. "Me." Alexandra stood, turning to face her, eyes unreadable. "They're framing it like strategy, like a negotiation. If I distance myself from you, temporarily, they'll stop pushing impeachment. They'll restore faith in the office." "And will you?" Maya asked, voice brittle. "Will you give me up to keep your throne? You think this is easy for me? I think it shouldn't be easy." Alexandra moved toward her, face sharp with pain. "If I don't do this, they'll tear everything down. Every law I passed, every bill we fought for, gone. They'll say I was a distraction, a delusion. And what am I supposed to be? A placeholder? A secret? A casualty?" "No, then say it." Maya's voice broke. "Say that I'm more than this job. Say I'm worth burning it all for." Alexandra's jaw clenched. "I can't burn the country for one person." Maya took a step back, as if the air had turned to glass between them. "Then don't pretend you were ever different from them." "Maya, if you leave me now, I won't wait." The room felt suddenly too large. Alexandra reached out, but Maya didn't move. "Don't touch me unless you mean it," she whispered. Alexandra's hand dropped. "I have to think." "You already did." That night, Maya didn't sleep at the White House. She didn't go back to her apartment either. She wandered the city, hidden under a hoodie, ignored by strangers who passed too quickly to recognize her face. She ended up in Zoe's apartment at 3 a.m., sitting on the kitchen floor with a glass of vodka in one hand and silence in the other. Zoe didn't ask questions. She just sat with her. "So that's it?" Zoe asked eventually. "You're letting her go?" "I didn't let her. She let me." "Maybe she thinks she's protecting you. Then she doesn't know me at all." Back at the White House, Alexandra stood alone in the Oval Office, rereading the ultimatum under dim light. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She simply whispered Maya's name once, soft, like it might bring her back. It didn't. The next morning, the press released a carefully worded statement. "In the interest of political unity, the president and Maya Chen have agreed to take time apart. This decision was mutual and made with deep respect and admiration." It wasn't mutual. It wasn't respectful. And Maya didn't agree to anything. She read the statement while waiting for a cab, fists clenched in her lap. It didn't feel like heartbreak. It felt like betrayal dressed in a suit and tie. Meanwhile, across the country, something else was happening. Letters, messages, videos, people posting photos with signs. Maya Chin is not the problem. Love isn't unpatriotic. Our president finally acted human and you punished her. The hashtag still with Sterling started trending. Then hashtag bring back Maya. Then simply, hashtag let them love. And Maya watched it all from a stranger's couch, her name suddenly a cause. She didn't want to be a movement. She wanted to be loved. But as she read message after message, as she saw people who had never felt seen finally claiming something raw and real, something shifted. They could take away the press room, the cameras, even the title, but they couldn't take her voice. That night, Maya opened her laptop. She began to write. Not for them. For her. And maybe, just maybe, for Alexandra. The article dropped at midnight. No press release. No warning. No editorial approval. Just Maya Chen, logged into her old freelancer account, uploading 1,612 words that would ignite a nation. The headline was simple. I was never the distraction. I was the mirror. The piece didn't beg. It didn't accuse. It didn't even name names. But it carved through the silence like a blade. Maya wrote about being invisible in rooms built to keep people like her out. About being loved by someone who was expected to love quietly, conditionally, secretly. She wrote about how they met. About the mornings that felt like rebellion and the nights that felt like prayer. She wrote about how love was not the danger, but fear of it was. And at the end, she didn't ask for sympathy. She demanded truth. The article went viral within 20 minutes. 35 million views by sunrise. Celebrities reposted it. Activists quoted it. Politicians ignored it. But the people? The people wept. In cafes, teenagers whispered the paragraphs to each other like scripture. In small towns, queer kids printed the final lines and taped them to their mirrors. If the truth costs everything, then everything was never mine to begin with. Alexandra read the article alone in the Oval Office, her staff pretending not to watch her reaction. She didn't blink, didn't flinch, but when she reached the end, she closed her laptop, stood, and said, "Clear my schedule. I'm going to find her." Maya was in Brooklyn, back in the apartment she swore she'd never return to. The city moved around her, loud and relentless, but her world had shrunk to the glow of a phone screen and the constant ping of her inbox. She hadn't expected it to matter this much. But it did. Because for the first time, she had told the story before someone else wrote it for her. A knock at the door nearly stopped her heart. She didn't check the peephole. She just opened it. And there she was. Alexandra. In a black coat, hair pulled back, face raw. No security detail in sight. No press. Just her. "Hi," Alexandra said. Maya didn't move. "You can't be here. I'm the president. You're 2 weeks away from impeachment. Then I wanted to see you before they locked the gates." Maya swallowed hard. "You read it. 3 times. You didn't call." "I didn't think I deserved to." Maya crossed her arms. "Then why now?" "Because you reminded me who I was before they taught me how to be afraid." "And what does that change?" "Everything." Alexandra stepped forward. "I didn't come here to beg. I came here to choose. You. Us. No more hiding. No more pretending it's strategic to stay apart. I don't care if I lose everything. But I won't lose you again." Maya wanted to believe her. But belief wasn't enough anymore. "What about your staff? The Senate? The legacy? They can write whatever story they want. I'm going to live mine." Silence stretched between them. The kind of silence that comes before something irreversible. "You broke my heart," Maya whispered. "Then let me spend the rest of my life fixing it," Alexandra said. "Not with words. With proof." Maya stood there, arms limp at her sides, breathing shallow. Then, finally, she stepped aside. Alexandra entered the apartment like it was sacred. Like she didn't deserve to be let in. "I've been sleeping in your shirt," she said softly. "It still smells like coffee and courage." "I wrote that in the article," Maya replied. "I know." They stood in the center of the room, not touching. "Not yet." "You don't need to save the country to be worthy of love," Maya said. "You don't need to be perfect to deserve me." Alexandra stepped closer. And you don't need to disappear to protect me. I want the world to see you. All of you. With me. Then show them. I will. Not tomorrow.
Now.
Alexandra pulled out her phone. No PR team. No filter. No speech. She opened the camera, turned it on herself and Maya, and hit record.
Hi.
This is Alexandra Sterling, President of the United States. I'm with Maya Chen. She's not a scandal. She's the love of my life. The post went up instantly. Chaos followed. But this time, they were ready. Together. Within minutes of Alexandra's video going live, the country split in two. Supporters flooded social media with hearts, flags, and declarations of love that echoed from coast to coast. Hashtag Let Them Love trended again, but this time alongside something new. Hashtag Madam First Lady. News outlets scrambled. Pundits yelled. Congress panicked. But the people, they moved. Outside the White House, hundreds gathered. Rainbow banners lifted in defiance. By noon, they became thousands. Not protesters. Protectors. But while the public rallied, the machine behind the government turned lethal. 3 senior officials drafted an emergency resolution citing abuse of public communication channels for personal gain. A vote was scheduled. 36 hours. That's all they had. Maya was back in Washington. Not hidden. Not silenced. She walked beside Alexandra through the White House gates, hand in hand, daring anyone to stop her. No one did. Inside, the halls were heavy. Some staff averted their eyes. Others nodded quietly, like soldiers witnessing a coup of the heart. Alexandra was called into a private meeting with the Joint Committee. No phones. No notes. No Maya. Before entering, she turned to her. No matter what happens in there, she whispered, you already gave me more than any term ever could. Maya waited. 1 hour.
2.
Then 3. Agent Parker brought her coffee and a look that said, brace yourself. When the door finally opened, Alexandra didn't speak. She just walked straight into Maya's arms and held on like the room was still spinning. They want me gone, she whispered into her neck. They think they've got the votes. Do they? Maybe. Then we do it our way. Which is? Let the country choose. The next morning, Alexandra held a press conference. This time, Maya stood behind her. Visible, real, undeniable. The nation tuned in. Some out of anger. Some out of hope. But all watched. Alexandra spoke without teleprompters. No papers. Just truth. There are people who believe my personal life makes me unfit to lead. That choosing honesty over secrecy is dangerous. That being in love makes me weak. But I ask, what kind of country do we become if love disqualifies us? What kind of leadership is built on denial instead of authenticity? I didn't choose this position to be a statue. I chose it to be a mirror, to reflect not just who we've been, but who we could be. She turned then, reached back, and took Maya's hand. This is Maya Chen. She is not my shame. She is my strength. Silence. Cameras flashed. Somewhere, a collective breath was held. And then, applause. Not from the journalists. Not from the staff. From outside the walls. Echoing in waves. Later that day, protesters became volunteers. Activists launched emergency campaigns. Law students filed petitions. Celebrities donated airtime. The resolution still went forward. A formal vote. All eyes on Congress. All eyes on her. Alexandra watched the numbers appear on the screen, Maya's hand in hers the entire time. 212 yes. 219 no. Motion failed. She stayed. The White House erupted, not with chaos, but with something rare, hope. Back in the residence that night, Alexandra collapsed on the couch, head in Maya's lap, shoes kicked off, exhaustion etched into every line of her body. You stayed, Maya whispered. I didn't. Alexandra looked up. We did. Maya leaned down, kissed her forehead. They tried to erase me. They tried to erase us. But you don't disappear, Maya said, fingers threading through her hair. You make everything around you clearer. Alexandra caught her hand and pressed it to her chest. I have 2 years left in office. Maybe 4, if the world is feeling generous. But whatever happens now, I want you beside me. Publicly. Permanently. Maya's breath hitched. What are you saying? I'm saying I want you to move in. Maya laughed, incredulous. You're asking me to move into the White House? I'm asking you to come home. Maya didn't hesitate. Then yes.
They didn't sleep that night.
Not from fear.
From joy.
From relief. From something finally real. Outside, America kept spinning. But inside that house, something shifted. They weren't a scandal. They were the future. The morning after the failed resolution, the air inside the White House felt different. Lighter, sharper, charged with something electric. Alexandra and Maya walked through the East Wing like they belonged there because, finally, they did. No more hiding, no more deflecting. Maya's toothbrush sat beside the president's. Her mug joined the White House china. Her laugh echoed through rooms that had only ever heard protocol. But freedom never came without retaliation. And now that Alexandra had survived the political attack, the personal one began. Overnight, the smear campaign shifted into high gear. Old photos from Maya's college days, taken out of context, were splashed across tabloids. Headlines screamed about radical influence and moral instability in the White House. A clip of Maya reading at a queer poetry night years ago was edited and posted to make her sound like she was inciting rebellion. The same people who once ignored her now dissected her every breath. Maya sat on the floor of the residence library, her phone vibrating every few seconds with messages, threats, and articles. She scrolled through the chaos, numb. They're trying to make me into someone I'm not, she said. Alexandra kneeled beside her. No, they're terrified of who you really are. Because you're not afraid of being seen. That's what they can't forgive. Maya looked up, eyes glossy. They're not coming for you anymore. They're coming for me. And I don't have your armor, Lex. Alexandra took her hands. Then take mine. The next move came not from Congress or a political party, but from a woman in North Carolina. An elementary school teacher named Melissa James posted a video in tears, holding Maya's article in one hand and a photo of her wife and daughter in the other. They want us to believe she's dangerous, she said, voice trembling. But if loving like this is dangerous, then I never want to be safe again. The video went viral. Others followed. A bakery in Texas named a cake after Maya. A senator in Oregon quoted her article on the Senate floor. Students began carrying signs that read, Maya is America. Alexandra's team warned her. The tide was rising again. But this time it was with them. Still, the danger wasn't gone. At 3 a.m., Secret Service intercepted a credible threat. Maya's security detail tripled. New protocols. No solo outings. No open windows. When Alexandra heard, she broke the pencil in her hand and ordered a full investigation. They can hate me, she said. But if they touch her, I swear, you'll start a war. Maya finished gently. And I'd burn the world for you, Alexandra whispered. Maya kissed her to silence the tremble in her voice. I don't need you to start a war. I need you to finish what we started. That morning, they hosted a youth town hall at the White House. It wasn't about politics. It was about visibility. Maya stood beside Alexandra, taking questions from queer students who had flown in from around the country. One kid, 16, soft-voiced, wearing a rainbow pin, asked, How do you love someone when the world keeps telling you not to? Maya looked at Alexandra, then back at them, by remembering that the world doesn't get a vote in your heart. That sentence made headlines again. But this time, no one tried to twist it. Even the media was starting to flinch under the pressure of a public that had found its voice. Behind closed doors, however, pressure mounted again. A group of major donors threatened to pull support unless Alexandra agreed to reduce Maya's public appearances. One even said, This isn't a love story, Madam President. It's a liability. Alexandra didn't flinch. Then take your money. I'm not up for sale. And neither is she. Later that night, Maya received an email from her old editor. No subject. Just one line. They tried to silence you. Instead, you became a chorus. Maya cried for the first time in weeks. Not from fear. From release. The world hadn't been kind to them. It might never be. But it wasn't winning anymore. They were. Together. And as they lay in bed, Maya whispered into Alexandra's skin, "If I lose everything but still have this, it was worth it." Alexandra answered without hesitation, "You'll never lose me. Not again." 2 months after the storm, the nation was no longer debating whether Maya Chin belonged in the White House. They were debating how long it had taken for someone like her to finally get there. The threats had faded into irrelevance. The impeachment efforts had collapsed under public pressure. And Alexandra Sterling had never been more popular. Not because she compromised, but because she didn't. And Maya? Maya had gone from ghostwriter to lighthouse. She wasn't just present. She was everywhere. Her voice, her story, her calm defiance in the face of hate had become something more than headlines. She was a movement, a symbol, a reminder that vulnerability was not weakness, and visibility was not vanity, it was survival. The nation had watched their love survive war. Now they were about to watch it transform into something even stronger. It started with a note. Not an email, not a statement. A handwritten letter left on Maya's pillow one quiet morning. It read, "The first time I saw you, you laughed at something no one else noticed. I think I fell in love before I even knew your name. I've given speeches that changed lives, but you've changed me in ways I'll never be able to explain on paper. So instead, I'll just ask you, will you stay? Not just in this house, not just in this chapter, but in every chapter after. Love, always, A." Maya read it twice before realizing she was crying. When she stepped out into the corridor, Alexandra was waiting in the dining room, empty except for a single box on the table. Inside it, a ring. Simple, elegant, powerful. Maya didn't speak. She walked straight to Alexandra, took her face in her hands, and said, "There's nowhere else I'd rather be." They didn't call it a wedding. Not officially. The Constitution didn't exactly have a clause for First Lady marrying the President. But they called it a union.
A vow.
A promise louder than any inauguration. The ceremony was private. Just family, closest friends, and Parker, who cried when Alexandra kissed Maya under the magnolia tree in the rose garden. Zoe officiated. She called them the most stubborn, reckless, beautiful love story she'd ever seen. There were no tiaras. No fireworks. Just sunlight, bare feet on government lawn, and 2 women who had bled their truths into the ground and bloomed anyway. After the ceremony, they walked back through the East Wing in silence, fingers entwined. In the hallway, one of the interns, barely 20, paused, breath held, and whispered, "Thank you." Alexandra smiled. For what? The intern shrugged. For not choosing fear. Weeks passed. Maya moved fully into the residence, her books mixing with state documents, her playlists invading the Situation Room speakers, her laughter echoing through diplomatic chambers. The First Lady was no longer a role. It was a revolution. She launched a national youth program for queer teens, focusing on art, mental health, and visibility. She started a podcast, wrote a memoir, and every time someone asked her how it felt to be married to the most powerful woman in the world, she said, "She's not the most powerful woman because she's president. She's the most powerful because she chose me even when the world told her not to." Alexandra's second term began with Maya standing beside her on the Capitol steps. Cameras flashed. The nation held its breath. And as Alexandra swore to protect and serve, her hand tightly in Maya's, it was no longer just a political oath. It was personal. Months later, during a televised interview, a journalist asked, "What would you tell your younger self, President Sterling?" Alexandra looked at Maya across the room and said, "I'd tell her that the risk is always worth the truth. That hiding love doesn't protect it. It kills it. And that someday, if she's lucky, she'll find someone who makes the whole world worth losing. And when that day comes, I hope she doesn't run." The final shot of the broadcast was simple. Maya and Alexandra, seated on the Truman balcony, watching the sun set over the city. No speeches. No slogans. Just hands clasped. Heartbeats aligned. History rewritten. Not in spite of love. Because of it. If you enjoyed this content and want to support the channel in a special way, try clicking the thanks button below. It's the one with the heart and $sign icon. With super thanks, you can make a direct contribution to the channel, which helps me keep creating awesome videos for you.